Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ice Age. My name is Iceman, and I'm super excited to be bringing you some Battlefield 4 beta gameplay. I've been waiting for this for so long. I just was so excited when I finally, spent an hour and a half downloading it, and I finally got to play it. I'm playing with my buddy Rage. If you haven't seen his channel yet, you should. Definitely go check it out. So to jump right into it, we're playing Domination on Siege of Shanghai. It's the only map that's available in the beta, but there are two game types, one of which is Domination, one of which is Conquest, which everybody knows from like Battlefield 3, pretty standard, typical Battlefield experience. I don't have any of that today, but what I do have is two back-to-back games of Domination. So once this game's over, it'll be transitioning right into a new game, a new round, so you guys can get to see more. I think the total video is around 15 or 16 minutes. So Domination games go kind of quick, 7 or 8 minutes long. Conquest obviously takes a lot longer. So I want to just have a couple of these games for you guys to watch. And while they, might not be just chock full of kills or streaks or anything like that, they do showcase a lot of the new stuff that's awesome, a lot of new stuff that's fun about Battlefield 4, and that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. And this is, I guess, for people who may not have seen gameplay before or were a little unclear on some of the details or something like that. So basically, I will be playing both of these games as the Assault class. And the original, I guess the first gun they give to you is already set up, actually. It's the AK-12. It's a decent gun. They give you the Cobra sight, the red laser, the ergo grip, and nothing for the muzzle or the barrel at first, but later in this round I will unlock the muzzle brake, so I'll put that on and start using it. So the gun is pretty good, pretty accurate, has a decent rate of fire. Really like it. The pistol, though, I don't know. I think it's the P226, I've never really used pistols with high magazine capacity before. I prefer the ones that do a lot of damage instead. So trying to kill somebody with a pistol, which I did at one point, took a while because I just wasn't used to having to shoot so many rounds at somebody. But so anyway, been playing for a little bit, as you see. A couple things that you've noticed already, and like right here I wanted to talk about one of them, which is the leaning out or the peeking thing. So basically, if you have your gun up next to like a wall and your soldier angles his gun, all you have to do is hit LT to aim like you would normally, and he'll automatically kind of peek around the corner. Or if you're doing that to like a low barrier, he'll actually peek up over it without you having to move any joysticks or stand up or anything. And that's a really cool feature, I think, because it really kind of helps, sort of automate the cover procedures that somebody would normally be going through. Instead of having to kind of twiddle the joysticks or something to take cover behind something, you can just take care of it automatically with the aiming trigger, which I think is really awesome. So anyway, to real quick get, I guess, the big negative thing out of the way, the beta quality of this game is, I guess, mediocre at best. My Xbox froze twice while I was playing the beta. Obviously, you're not going to see it in any of these games that I'm showing you here, but it was kind of frustrating that happened. I'm not really sure, what's up with that, but I know it's not just me because eventually I started playing with some other guys I know online, and they were having the same exact issues where it would just freeze randomly in the middle of a round. So that's annoying, but it didn't happen every round or anything. So hopefully that that's not an issue in the real game, because that would be kind of annoying and frankly upsetting to somebody who's trying to just sit down and relax and play some Battlefield. One other thing that's kind of odd is right at the beginning of the round, if you spawn in the first 3 or 4 seconds, it actually won't render any textures of players or lets you really move very much. So you kind of have to wait a couple seconds before you can actually spawn in as like a real person and run around and shoot stuff and whatever. So that's kind of another thing that I think they're not really too interested in that right now. They want to be working on fixing the game and the gameplay, and little things like texture rendering will be taken care of at some point. Yeah, so that was the negatives that I had. Everything else, about my experience with this is freaking awesome, really positive. Before I forget, I wanted to talk a little bit about counter knifing, which you saw when I was in the elevator a little while ago. Basically, if you attack somebody with a knife from the front, they will have the opportunity to counter knife you. And I thought that this was going to be kind of like a tough task, I guess. Like you'd have to have like quick reactions, or hit like a certain button or a series of buttons or something to prevent the guy from knifing you from the front. And since the event that happened earlier this round that you saw, that was the first time that it had happened to me, so I didn't really know what to do. And he actually, got the knife on me and from the front, which is kind of upsetting. But basically, if you just hit the knife button, which I'll talk about in a second, which is different than it used to be, but if you hit the knife button during the little window of time between, when he actually initiates the action and, finishes stabbing you, it's just one button press and you counter knife him and you take his tags instead. And I did that a bunch in later rounds. I think you might see one in the next round, I'm not sure, but yeah, so I'm not sure how I feel about it, because I think the window of time is too long for somebody to react to being stabbed from the front, especially because you can see the person coming. Like if they run up to you from the front and try to stab you, you already know they're there, and then it gives you about a second or a second and a half to just hit one little button to kind of reverse it and take it back to them and steal their tags. And I think some people will probably say, well, that's good. I mean, you shouldn't try to stab people from the front like that. It shouldn't work out for you if you do that. And so I guess I understand that position, but I think it should just take a little bit longer for that to happen, because it just seemed like it basically seemed too easy for me. Once I figured out what button I had to hit, like anytime that happened to me, I felt like it wasn't much of a challenge or much of a reaction time event or anything to kind of turn the tables on them. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm sure everybody else will have different opinions, but that's something I wanted to talk about. You saw me while I was talking about that actually put the muzzle brake on my gun. So that's a cool little feature, and it's awesome to finally know kind of like what statistically attachments do to your gun, which is something that's new to Battlefield 4. Gave you the little kind of graph chart thing over to the right that showed you how every attachment affects each of the statistics for your gun, like range, accuracy, damage, stability, things like that. So that's the end of the first round. I'll be coming up on the second round in a little bit. Got some more stuff to talk about. Just wanted to let you guys kind of see the score screen. I think they're missing like a stats summary or something. I don't know if they'll put that in at some point, but there's really no screen to tell you what your best gun was, or how many kills you got with a grenade or knives or whatever. So anyway, starting the second round, same thing, domination. Just had a couple more things to talk about for you guys. And again, let me know any comments or questions or whatever you want to talk to me about in the comments. Just leave a note down there and I'll definitely respond to it. So anyway, I want to talk about another thing that was kind of big, like a change from Battlefield 3, for me at least. They actually changed the button layout, which I actually like a lot better. So basically, the back button, which used to be used for squad commands and spotting and stuff, is now the battle log button. So at any point, you can actually see up in the top right corner of the screen, you see that tiny little rectangle that has the the back button symbol in there, and it also has the little friends icon and the medal icon, I think. So basically, if you open up battle log, you can see basically what all of your friends are doing and what your party is doing in Battlefield. And you can access your missions there, which missions are something that your friends can set for you to like challenge you to do something, like get a certain number of knives in a game, or or knife kills, or get a certain number of headshots or something like that. So you can access all that straight through battle log at any point in a round, which is pretty cool, but probably not something that I'm going to be using too often. I'd rather just play the game and worry about things like that after the round's over. But anyway, because that moves all the squad command buttons, those have moved up to the right bumper, so RB, which you guys will recognize as the knife button from Battlefield 3, which has moved down to the pressing the right joystick, similar to Call of Duty. So that was a pretty big change for me. There were a lot of times you probably saw in the last round where I was trying to crouch and I kept knifing a bunch. Because crouch and prone have moved up to B, which used to be the entering and exiting vehicles and stuff in Battlefield 3. And that was one thing I actually never understood, how they would have X, which was reload and pick up weapons, and B, which was get into and out of vehicles. They were both action buttons, and I didn't know why they had two of them. So now X does all of that. X gets in vehicles, reloads, picks up stuff. B is for crouching. Like I said, the right stick is for knifing. So I think this controller scheme makes a whole lot more sense. I always used to use the spotting and squad features, commands and stuff, and it was really annoying having to hit back because I had to, if I didn't want to claw with my left hand, I'd have to take my thumb off the joystick to do that. And now that it's on RB, it's really easy and fluid to be able to spot and select bases and stuff. While moving, while aiming, I just can use that bumper button now, and that's something that I really enjoy because I used that feature a lot previously. So I thought you guys would want to know about the controller layout because that's a pretty big change. So if you get in your first round or something and you're not doing what you expect, take a second to look over the controller layout and options, and you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. The other thing I want to talk about is the spawning interface is actually really cool. In Battlefield 4, you can actually switch between spawning on your teammates, spawning on bases, and the new feature is you can actually spawn on empty vehicles in a base that your team controls. So before that was only you could do that in Battlefield 3 basically, but it was limited to special vehicles like the jets or sometimes the helicopters. But now any vehicle that is controlled by a base spawn, you can jump right into. You can use the right joystick when you're highlighting a base, and you can scroll through all the vehicles that are there available and jump into any of them, which I think is a really cool feature. You don't have to wait around to get in a Humvee or something to drive around on Conquest or something like that. Like I talked about before, the leaning and the peeking is a really cool feature. I use that, you can see I've used it a lot in these games. Just a really nice little way to kind of still take cover while you're trying to attack or, take somebody out from long range. Just really nice feature, I think, that they added, and I was really happy to see that put in. One other thing you've noticed, I've been throwing out these tiny little health packs in these rounds. These are kind of cool. They're like health kits, I guess. They're not really the same thing as what was in Battlefield 3, but I think that you can unlock basically the same Battlefield 3 health kits at some point. Basically, these are for one person only, and when you throw them on the ground or throw them to a teammate, they actually will kind of stick on you so that you can actually get health back while you're moving around, which I'm sure you've seen that's the case. I throw it on the ground for myself, walk over it, and then I can get healed no matter where I go or how fast I'm running. It's not limited to an area because it's applied to me, which is awesome for one person, but the drawback is that it's only for one person. So that's kind of the really cool balancing effect they had for that. The same is true for the ammo kits with the support. But again, like I said, I think the regular ones that you're used to, which help lots of people, will be making an appearance in the full game because this game doesn't have everything available to, or this beta doesn't have everything available to unlock that will be in the full game. So the tiered reload is also in Battlefield 4. You saw it once in the first round, but I don't really use that too much in these two rounds here because I either die or finish the reload before I start shooting again. So yeah, and then the last thing I really wanted to talk about was kind of the small interactions around the map. You saw as I was running into crates and stuff, there was that little interaction symbol on one of the doors. basically you can open and close doors on the crates to kind of like shut yourself in, or open it and get into to an area to kill somebody. You can open and shut the grating on the mall, which is basically right in front of me right now. Those windows or openings right there can have the grate put up or down. You can knock out supports to make the kind of this thing right in front of me, this ramp. You can actually knock it down like it is right now so that you can walk onto it instead of it being like supported up, which I think is really cool. Just little small things that change the way every game is played, every round is played, basically. So that was a really awesome feature. I really freaking love this game, and I'm sure you guys would too if you are big Battlefield fans or shooter fans, anything like that. So definitely give it a go. The servers are all pretty much full later in the day, but you should be able to get some games. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Rate, comment, subscribe, like, and until next time, peace, love, and ice.